The views and opinions of this program are those of the host, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. Today's episode of Market Talk is brought to you by Growmark FS. Keeping up with the latest in ag is a challenge, to say the least, but there are experts nearby ready to help. You'll find them at your local FS. You can trust them to bring you customized agronomic, grain, and energy solutions born of the latest thinking. That's because FS specialists receive continuous training that keeps them current on the latest trends, practices, and technologies. So you'll get local expertise that's both exceptional and up to date. Visit fssystem.com to learn how FS is bringing you what's next. Well, a solid way to wrap up the week of trade on Friday with plenty of green on the screen. I wasn't sure we were going to get corn and wheat there, but we did when all was said and done, and really a strong way to wrap up the week. Joining us here to talk about it, we welcome into the program Dwayne Bosse of Bolt Marketing. Dwayne, great to catch up with you again, my friend. I hope all is well there in South Dakota.
Yeah, you too, man. No, it's good here. It's warm and windy like we've been for a month. I can't believe it. You and I were talking not too long ago. I had snow drifts and kind of laughed when someone asked me how planting was going. And man, did it change. And North Dakota showed it this week, didn't they? We planted a lot in a hurry.
Yeah, we did plant a lot in a hurry. Well, I know you and I were talking about putting the show together for the day today, and you said, well, I might be doing it from the cab of the tractor. And then you tell me this morning, I caught up on field work. And I think that's just a testament to, how this weather has flipped here in the last couple of weeks across pretty much the entire Corn Belt. Now we're talking about some areas being a little too dry, and I know that's going to be an overarching theme as we go through the weekend, get into next week. What do those weather forecast models show us? I think that's going to be a big thing. And I think maybe some of that finally led to a little short covering to round out the week in grains, Dwayne.
Yeah, you bet it did. No, the GFS model came out at noon today, and it took away the rain that it had just the day before in that, I'd say 14, 15 day time frame. Remember, the GFS goes out that far, but the European model does not. They go out about 10 days. And so the GFS, at least they give us a guess, but they give us rain, they take it away. And that's what they did today. They took it away. Corn, like I said, beans were strong all day, but corn and wheat even rallied on that late model update. And really good closes for the week, Jesse. I'm kind of excited about the way we close, but you and I both know, if you want to know what it's going to open Sunday night, all you have to do is give me the forecast and I can tell you. But so it's all about the weather come Sunday night next week.
Well, and thinking about it too, I think the other theme of the day, Friday, that took some of the initial excitement was the stock market and the outside markets, the news of the jobs report. It was, a huge number over trade expectations. And then you throw in this debt ceiling fight getting through Congress, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, stock indices 1% to 2% higher, the Dow up 700 some points. I have to think maybe a little spillover from the outside markets as well finally creeped into not only grains, but livestock too on Friday.
Oh, yeah, no. Everything's green. It feels good. Geez, I just kind of noticed the hogs, the way they traded too. That was a great way for them to close on the week. But you're right. Dow up good. Crude, you didn't mention. That's the only one we didn't mention. And that's up good. Maybe OPEC does another cut this week and they're talking there. But it's funny. We have a day like this, everything's green and money's coming in. And then next week, there'll be a red day and we'll talk about how, fears of recession and consumer spending getting high and everyone's credit card bill getting high because of inflation. So that outside markets giveth and then also taketh away.
Very, very true. Let's break down a few of these grain commodities a little bit more. I think corn, let's just start there. We've been able to get corn into the ground as we've alluded to. But again, it comes back to weather. 34% of U.S. corn production areas in some sort of drought as of May 30th, that new drought monitor update. And so, I mean, from your perspective, not only as a trader, but a farmer, realistically, Dwayne, I mean, when we think about the genetics that we have now, how long can we really start to go with corn here being dry before we really have to concern ourselves with yield loss? I mean, is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? What's your thoughts? And just, I want to kind of get some thoughts on that to how it could shape up this market trade.
It's a great question, first off. And actually, I think for Illinois and Iowa, where it's probably the most critical, right? I'd say next week's the big week. Knowing about the size of their corn crop, the development, you get to V4, V5, which a lot of the listeners know what that is in corn. You're starting to determine the ear size. So the ear girth, and if you're only 12 rows around the ear versus what we want it to have, it's just less bushels you're going to have at the end. So the corn can still look good, Jesse, and it will for the most part. But no, looking at the forecast here today, if that holds, which I think the 6-day forecast, 7-day forecast, I can say with more confidence, Illinois and Iowa will not get rain. They're going to be warm. It even looks like it up here. I think this gets kind of bad. How much yield you drop off? Oh, I don't know. I think you can just start trimming it off of 180 and go from there and just say, I'm trending lower for now. Eventually, I think it rains, but I am hearing of already some horror stories of some corn that went flat, probably shallow root syndrome, very small cases. That's in Southeast South Dakota. So you're going to start hearing some of that. I think next week, if this forecast holds, is going to be a bullish week, and we'll have guys not selling corn because they won't think they have any. And I'm not saying to do that. Jesse, I've been the bull all winter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the first one to admit I'm wrong. I was just wrong. I thought we'd have a weather scare before now. Well, now I'm having to work and sell my old crop corn because we're going to have a basis pinch here. We're going to roll off of July and go to September, and I can't take that hit. So I'm going to have to just let it go. And of course, I can buy it back on the board if Sunday night's forecast is hot and dry, right? Typical brokers, I'm just a click away from owning or selling it. But and this corn market, let me back up. I know I'm rambling, but there's so much in this corn market this week. I think what happened is Sunday night, we had a bullish weather forecast. I thought this market was going to go higher, Jesse. But you got the funds who were short around 100, 140,000 contracts. They defended their positions. They don't want to be wrong, and they don't want to flip to long. They don't go one way than the other. They sold it hard Monday and Tuesday and made guys like me feel like, wow, okay, I guess this thing's just going to zero. You start to get emotional. And then at the end of the week here, you got some people going long and maybe a few funds exiting a few positions as we go. Next week, if the forecast is hot and dry for the extended, for like, say, the end of June, you might scare some of the funds out of their short positions, but we have to remember they're short and they want to stay short now. If there's rain in the forecast, everything we gained is gone in a heartbeat, Jesse.
Good things to think about. I just noticed something too, looking at the closes, and this was an area for me that I was wondering if we'd get to it. 541 and a quarter on December corn. I think 540 was a very key level to get back over. Now, can we hold above that, Dwayne?
That's going to depend on Sunday's rally. Right? But I mean, it's my job to guess it, and I think we will. But it's the 540 was big for me too. That's where we have some of our initial sales for new crop, and of course, it has to happen at the end of the day where I can't pick up the phone and give everyone a call. But we're making new crop sales here at 540. There's a low volume profile in this area. It just made sense to get back here. So start making those new crop sales. That's even the bull is saying to start make those new crop sales. And I know it's just as a drought happens, right? It's just as Dwayne was saying all winter, there's going to be a weather scare. But what we can't ignore is the demand destruction that we've had in corn. That export demand destruction. I think the ethanol demand will be fine. I really do. And feed will be fine. But that destruction in demand, it won't just come back without sharply lower prices. So I'm going from being that bull to here's my weather scare. It's great, but this is a weather scare. I will sell, and I will sell hard new crop. And believe it or not, Jesse, you'll probably, I know you've never heard me say this, but I will look at 24 corn too, and selling some of that at the exact same time, because I fully expect input costs, especially fertilizer, to be much cheaper this fall and next spring. And so when you look at next year's corn at those prices, not far off of this year's, I think they're worth hedging.
Good thoughts to consider. Soybeans really was higher most of the day. Bean oil really gave the strength there in beans, it felt like, on the session, Dwayne.
Yeah, which is a little surprising because, soybean oil, we have no export demand for.
Yeah.
That's not the product everybody wants. It's the soybean meal. Look at those exports the last 4 weeks, through the roof. And we should see that coming. Argentina with their poor crop, right? Yeah, we're not exporting the raw soybeans I'd like to see, but as long as we crush them and send them out as meal, I guess it's the same difference. So soybeans look strong. Soybeans went lower than they should have been. We should have bounced back here. And that's the crop. I'm not selling a lot of new crop yet. We're still tight, Jesse. I mean, old crop, yes, export demand is sluggish, but there was not a whole lot of extra soybeans out there. And the whole acre thing, I mean, all winter long I pounded, I don't think we have that many principal crop acres. I take 1 or 2 million acres off of soybeans and this thing gets interesting. Then you mix in a flash drought. That's the new term of the year, I think, is flash drought. So I think it has upside yet, I guess.
Yeah, something to keep our eyes on. And you mentioned meal too, and I think maybe meal was just maybe a case of some profit taking heading to the weekend. And I know there's a little concern out there with meal demand when it comes to hogs with the whole Prop 12 thing, but I feel like the trade has kind of digested that news now as well, Dwayne.
I think so too. Obviously we'll look at hogs. We've rebounded off finally. I hope no one was trying to catch that falling knife, because that was an ugly one. But that's just the way hogs trade too. Somebody was going to hit it perfect by buying it, and maybe someone did, but it sure as heck wasn't me. I was going to stay a long ways away from that. Yeah, I think the dust has settled on all that, and the soybean oil, we're still going to look at the veg oil market and jet fuel and all that, and it's coming. I know it is, because it's where the money is, but it's just going to take time.
We're having a conversation today with Dwayne Bosse of Bolt Marketing. Dwayne, wheat trade real quick. It looked like spring wheat was the upside leader there. Any notes in wheat? I know we got the Black Sea thing with Ukraine. Yeah. Ships aren't getting out. Russia's not letting them get out. But it almost feels like traders have kind of just let that whole thing go to the wayside, and we're focused on weather and other issues in wheat here. Plus, I know this week we imported wheat from Poland. Wasn't very good quality, but we're bringing in Polish wheat now. So there's a lot going on in this wheat trade too, Dwayne.
There's a lot going on in the wheat trade. You're right. Overnight, Ukraine announced, they said that Russia stopped any Black Sea exports again. Well, a year ago, that means we're up 50 cents in wheat to 80 cents in 2 days. We didn't rally this morning, so that means that isn't the story why we rallied. I think we rallied late in the day because of the hot, dry forecast. And actually, if you look, the 8 to 10 or 6 to 10, 8 to 14, North Dakota is actually the one that's in the above normal temps. Okay. The spring wheat did get planted. It got planted late. It's coming up, but it needs a shot of rain. I know. I feel so bad, because I talked about how wet North Dakota was, and we're not going to get it planted. And now here I am today telling you we need a rain. And that's why I usually try not to get so bullish or so bearish on weather issues, because you just give it 2 weeks, especially in Dakotas, and it changes. And I think it's an issue of, the wheat crop is in tough shape, especially the winter wheat. Now, the soft wheat, of course, the Chicago wheat, man, that's a bumper crop coming there. So that's a whole story. But a lot of spread in between those three complexes. And I don't know. I think we just found a bottom here a little bit, rallying a little bit, because there's no farmer selling going on either.
Let's talk cattle. What a week in cattle trade. Southern live deals $7 to $9 higher. I mean, huge move there. And I think this futures market's playing a bit of catch up here to the cash market, Dwayne. What a just screaming higher market here this week.
It absolutely is. I'm sorry, I rambled way too long on wheat when you said real quick, and then I realized we get to the cattle market. That's what we want to talk about, is the cattle market. I'm like, what are you thinking, Dwayne? Just get to the cattle market. Well, what a week. Cash market higher. I know of guys that got 187 picked up in the north. I'm hearing 180 in the south, which is just amazing. So June cattle go into delivery next week. So they've got to be at least within about $4 of the lowest cash bid you see out there. So 176 is probably okay where it settled today. But it looks strong. I mean, boxes were higher. But when I look at a chart, though, Jesse, I do get nervous. I'm like, well, you can't keep that pace up for long. What I'm going to start doing this afternoon and tomorrow morning, even though it's a Saturday, is again, pushing and selling the LRP insurance for guys. We wanted to wait till feeders got to the new highs, and we made the over 245 highs. And why I'm selling that, Jesse, isn't because I'm bearish. I'm actually still bullish the market, but there gets to be a certain point where profit's profit, and I just want guys to protect. And remember, with LRP, it's a glorified put option. You buy it, you hope it's a waste of money. And I remind people they want it to be a waste of money. If we go to 260 in feeders, great, you'll get 260, but we've had black swan events that will kill the cattle market, and I'm not predicting that, but if it does happen, I'm glad these guys locked in some really great profits. But yeah, what a week in the cattle market.
Yeah, very good week in the cattle market. The feeder demand is there as well. I think some of this, as the calendar flips to June, it's going to fall back on some of that consumer demand in the meat case. I think that's going to have a big impact, not only on beef, but on pork as well, Dwayne.
You're exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. That's the thing that probably stops this rally at some point in time. What a great market. We talked about there being a hole in production, and that's where we're at right now. Packers are looking for cattle, and they're not there, Jesse. They're not ready yet. They got pushed back due to weather, high corn prices. The big flush of the new crop of calves just are not fat yet. So we've got this hole here, and they're doing whatever they can. They're buying kill cows, whatever, to fill the hole. But I did read an article overnight, a Costco report, that people are starting to walk past the meat carousel there, the meat area, and going to the pork and the chicken. And that's what's going to I already talked the inflation a little bit, and everyone's credit card bill seems to be higher than it used to be. And somehow, some way you have to start cutting it. And I'm afraid that's where it'll happen eventually. So yeah, that's why I'm buying the LRP. I think it happens. Now, hogs, you mentioned, I think they got low enough where we found some demand, but I don't think they have to go much higher than this 186, 184, because the cash market isn't very good there. So that should stay the cheaper meat. And I think that market's priced right where it should be.
Well, great thoughts as always, Dwayne. And I know if folks want to reach out to you, get some advice there at Bolt Marketing, they can do that very easily. How can they get a hold of you, Dwayne?
Yeah, they can call us here directly, 605-448-2365. And I'll promise that I won't ramble on as long as I did with you. But I mean, you mix an energy drink because you've been in the field for a couple of weeks, and Jesse start talking to me, and I just start rambling. So I'll keep it short when they call.
Well, I know they'll enjoy the conversation regardless. And I know folks can find you as well online, boltmarketingllc.com. With that, Dwayne Bosse, always great to chat with you, my friend. Have an awesome weekend. We'll talk to you again real soon.
You too. Thanks, Jesse.
That's going to do it for Market Talk today. Find us online, markettalkag.com. I'm Jesse Allen. Have a great afternoon.